This episode brought to you by Audible.
Audibletrial.com
for your ear triangle.
What? How many shapes can we put into this ad?
I know a lot of different shapes. So
I
listeners,
know all the shapes.
I do.
I was
tuned.
really good at geometry.
Geometry?
Yeah.
I've only ever heard that word.
I've only read that word.
How long is it
You
going to be?
realize that when you say I've only ever heard that word, then you should be able to recite it correctly. It's only when you only
I've
read
only
the
ever
word.
seen that word written.
There you go.
Is that it?
There you go.
Todd,
Guys,
how do sentences
if you want to
work?
see other words written, spoken out for you, go to audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin.
It's all going off the rails. How do words work, Todd?
For 30 days free and a book to get you started. And for a book recommendation, I'm going to put Jen on the spot.
All right, here.
What
No,
book?
I thought about this because if you like this episode, if you like The Descent, and you want to really challenge yourself and read some gross shit, check out Off Season by Jack Ketchum. It is about some cannibals. It's a subgenre called outlaw horror, which kind of means it's a little more extreme than regular horror. It's too much for me. I read Off Season. It ruined me for life. It's gross. But check it out if you like The Descent.
That's what ruined you for life.
Not the patriarchy. You might like Off Season.
So yeah, guys, audibletrial.com/horrorvirgin. Check it out, guys. Hey, guys, we also started a Patreon this week. And
Yes.
honestly,
excited.
yeah, I was very, very blown away by the response from the community on this one.
Thank you so much.
I thought we might get a handful of dollars from a handful of nice people. We got a shitload of dollars from a handful of amazing HVs.
Yeah,
I don't really want to call people. Yeah. I don't want to call people.
Still working on that
virgins.
nickname.
Yeah, we got to work on something to call the community. If you have suggestions,
yes,
tweet
please.
at us at
We're
Horror
swinging
Virgin
and missing.
what we should call the community because
Yes.
calling you guys virgins doesn't feel right.
And you're
I'm
so
fine to have
awesome that
Yeah.
we really want to thank you for all of the support.
Yeah, so I mean, we had quite a few people come in at the $15 level. One person come in at the $25 level, and one at the $50 level,
Yes,
which really blew us
thank
away.
you
A guy
so
under the
much.
handle of Cake of Doom.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
Cake
so-
of Doom. I'm interested in this handle, too.
Yeah, me too. But I honestly thought we would have more at the $5 level
I
than we
did
would at
too.
any other level.
I know, and
But
I can't
really,
believe it.
we didn't have anyone at the $5 level. Everyone was $15 or more. It was insane.
I know.
You guys
Thank you
are
so
amazing.
much.
And if you guys want to check that out, just go to the Patreon. It's patreon.com/horrorvirgin. It's the same as all of our handles. There isn't a link on our website yet, but I will work on getting that up sometime in the next week. Thank you guys so
thank
much
you.
for all of you who have and will sign up on the Patreon. I love that the podcast is free, but it does cost money to distribute it.
And time and effort.
And honestly, we're not making money on time and effort, but
Right.
it does cost us money to host the podcast and stuff like that. So
Those
it's nice
pod
to be able to
almonds
pay
are
some
not
of that.
free.
Yeah.
You can
And
cut that
I do about 5 hours of work after we record. You do about 5 hours of work before we
Yeah.
record, and not including the time to watch the movies and record. So
Right.
we're not even getting paid for that amount of time. And I honestly would do it without that. 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
love,
it is really fun.
yeah, I love the
He
community
hates
and
the
the response for
movies,
it. I really
but-
do hate watching the movies. That is true.
Yeah, and I understand this might not be in everyone's budget right now, and we completely understand.
Yeah,
We are just
absolutely.
so happy for all of the support we've gotten.
And
just
honestly,
in
if you can't
general.
afford to pay every month, just tell your friends and family about it. That's
Right.
as big
Or
as a monetary
just
donation. We really
downloads.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So listening
Yeah.
to it is more than enough. But
We
tell your
love
friends and family.
when you interact with us too.
Yeah, we do.
Send us your scary skills.
How you doing? All right, enjoy The Descent.
Is Michael Winslow from Family Matters? Which one's Michael Winslow? Is it Urkel?
Really
Michael Winslow's from Police Academy. He's the guy who does all the voices.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that
Spaceballs.
guy.
He was also in Spaceballs.
How long have we been doing this now?
20 minutes.
I already
Jesus
brought us in.
And
Christ.
we've had 5 or 6 laugh lines.
Well,
And she's
bring us
been
in,
looking up
dude.
Carl
Dude.
Winslow.
Mr. Virgin, bring us in.
Welcome to the Horror Virgin, everybody. Apparently, Carl Winslow, not Michael Winslow.
who was in Police Academy. And I think makes a cameo as an eagle in this movie, but we'll get to it.
I've tried to imitate all of the sounds that he does, and I'm not very good at making
Guys,
sound
it was
imitations.
spot on. Hilarious.
What? Why are you looking at me?
I'm waiting for you to introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Jen.
Ugh.
Hey, sorry. Oh, man.
I'm the Virgin Todd. I'm the Virgin Todd. And we have special guest Chris with us. You remember Chris?
Chris of the Noise.
Chris of the Noise. Chris from Trick or Treat, who tried to make me throw up the whole time.
It's
That's
future
how I
Jennifer.
introduce myself.
We got to find a new shtick for you, bro. So what do we watch, Jen?
We watched one of my favorite movies ever, The Descent.
It's so good.
Yes,
And we watched this.
I loved it.
I'm going to disagree with everything you said.
Well.
Except for, it can be one of your favorite movies, but I hated it. Chris suggested this, right? This is your suggestion, Chris?
I suggested it, yes, and then you had said, "Oh, I think Jen likes that movie."
I've been suggesting watching The Descent since the very beginning, but I didn't know when you were going to be ready for it.
Yeah, I don't think I was ready for it.
Yeah, and this was back when we thought we were going to try to ease you into the scary stuff, but then we just decided to say
apparently
fuck it.
you guys have thrown that out the window.
Yeah.
Because with, I mean,
Because then October happened.
well, no, I mean, honestly, Hereditary was the scariest movie I've seen. It was like the third movie we did.
Yeah, that's true.
Ugh,
Yeah, but we weren't quite sure what Hereditary was going to be like.
that's true. That's true.
And I just really wanted to watch it.
It's a write-off.
Exactly.
But The Descent, not just a great horror movie, but a really good, just
It is a really good movie. Yes, it would be. It is my number 2 favorite horror movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
What's your number one?
I think that should remain a mystery, don't you think?
No.
Should I tell
What's
you?
your number one?
Cabin in the Woods.
Oh.
It's so good.
I think you've said that before, actually,
I
on the
have.
podcast.
I
Okay.
I'm kind of ashamed of my number one.
What is it?
It's Is it
West Side Story?
Hey, don't be
I love
ashamed
that
of
one. It's
any.
so good.
Listen,
Sondheim on lyrics, so good.
listeners, never be ashamed of your favorite movie.
They?
I haven't seen that.
You know what my favorite horror movie is?
What? Oh, Leslie Vernon?
Yeah. Love you, Nathan.
Everybody drink?
All right, so this movie was about
Awesome.
Adventure Ladies. Is that what I said?
Adventure Ladies, yeah.
Adventure Ladies?
You
Led
did call
by
it that.
Indiana June's.
Indiana
Led by
Juno.
Indiana Jane.
Except
Yeah.
her name's Juno, so we can make that pun.
Indiana Juno. We can go
Indiana
with that.
Juno. I'm just going to call her Juno because she is awesome.
Is she?
Yes.
She's a horrible person.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
a
not-
higgity home wrecker.
She does get.
Basically.
Can we just go to this fucking movie?
Adventure Awesome Ladies.
The first thing we see is, like, of course, credits, but during the credits we see, like, them
Whitewater rafting.
right? And
Yes.
then we see the husband and the daughter of Sarah?
Sarah's husband and daughter are watching on the rocks.
Right.
Yes.
And then they get...
The husband is obviously not watching
yeah.
Sarah.
We find out their marriage is on the rocks also.
So the ladies are whitewater rafting, and then they finish. They pull out, which...
Oh, jeez.
I'm not
That
even going
didn't
to make
take
the
long,
joke.
but it never
yeah,
does.
Yeah,
Ty.
thank
yeah,
you.
whatever. And then we find out that the husband's been pulling out all over Juno,
Gross.
and this is what blows my mind.
She
so, like,
did get out soaking wet.
Oh yeah, she did.
Because they pushed her out of the boat. Because
well-
somehow deep down they knew.
Oh yeah, they knew.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so she gets out, and I guess the husband kisses her or something.
I don't remember.
They, like, share an embrace.
He takes off Juno's helmet in a
Oh.
really like.
in a tender, caressing way.
Yeah.
In a loving way.
They embrace on some level.
They
And
do.
then they cut to the other girl who's like, "What?"
Beth, right?
Yeah, they cut to
yeah,
Beth.
saying,
and
what?
Beth is obviously like, "What is going on?"
Mhm.
Yeah, but Sarah, who is the wife of
yeah.
cheater
She's
husband,
the one like roping the boat up and doing all the work.
Yeah, Juno knew she gave her the chore that she could get on the husband.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they get in the car.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then this is funny because Sarah was turned around talking to her daughter, who's
They're
I guess name
talking
doesn't
about
matter.
Jessica. They're talking about
Whatever.
her birthday party.
Okay. So she's turning around talking to Jessica, whose name really doesn't matter because she's about to be dead in like 3 seconds.
And
About to
she's
get that shish kebab.
Yeah, and Sarah turns back around to face forward, and then starts talking to her husband. You've been distant. Have you been fucking my friend? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
And then he slams into a truck to try to get out of answering the question.
Like, this guy
and it
kills
backfires.
himself to not have to explain to his wife that he finds her
Finds her friend,
very attractive.
her brunette
And
friend.
I get it. Juno could get it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, Sarah wasn't bad looking either, but
Yeah.
Juno could get it.
Well, they're both badasses, but
Well-
yeah, Juno is pretty awesome.
Yeah, Juno could get it.
And listeners, we should say he doesn't actually kill himself. It's a terrible, tragic accident that kills her husband and her daughter.
With the same pipe.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. And I think the scene has. Oh my goodness,
It
guys,
only
they're
took one
gonna.
pipe to make her. It took one pipe to take them both out.
Oh God.
That
So-
was the joke you were brewing up when you guys were looking at each other with like pipe
No, honestly,
eyes.
just-
You're like, oh, I got something. I got
Just the
something.
word pipe in my head made me laugh, and then I had to come up with a joke.
Because you're 12.
Exactly.
No.
Very
This is how
sophomoric.
Todd and I operate, though. Like,
Yeah.
If we're in situations where we know we can't talk, we just do that. We just look at each other and just.
Oh, I remember Trick or Treat.
Oh yeah.
I was there.
So after the tragic accident.
Yeah, and I think that this scene has given me like some kind of thing about watching people in cars because every time anybody's driving to see, I'm like, watch the road, and I think it's because of this.
This and Final Destination.
I made a Final Destination joke.
I
towards
love
the end of
Final
this,
Destination.
but I've
Final
never seen it.
It's a little more elaborate though. Oh no, you're talking about the news anchor with the junk to the head.
With
I think
some
that's
junk to the head.
I think that's fine. No, it's junk, not junk. Junk. I think that's Final Destination 2. Spoiler. Doesn't turn out well for news anchor lady.
Or junk.
Yeah.
She apparently has a metal plate in her head, Chris. I don't know how to explain the sound of it.
No, a pipe goes through her head. It goes junk, and through the window.
What about the
To
wall?
the wall. I told you I was basically Michael Winslow. Junk.
Guys, joining us in studio, Michael Winslow.
That's my noise of something.
You know what I like about Michael Winslow? He's not afraid to get out there and experiment.
He does a really good impression of mad cow disease.
Oh my God. So the accident happens, and then we see Sarah wake up in the hospital, right?
Yes.
And who all's around her? Because there's someone around her, right?
No one's around her.
Oh, she's
No
by
one's around
herself,
her,
that's
and
right.
she wakes up and she's in the hallway.
No, she wakes up in the hospital bed, pulls off the
All the
sensors,
stuff.
gets in the hallway, and then
28 days later runs down the
runs down and the
Yeah.
light, the darkness is chasing her.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
I
she
see.
escapes in the arms of her friend Beth.
I think this is the first time I said, will you guys just kiss already?
Yeah, it's funny
Yeah, one of the
every time he said
14
it.
times.
Yeah,
They never did.
no, they didn't.
anyway-
'Cause it's not that kind of a movie.
So wait, she was hallucinating running in the hallway, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But she was like really running down the hallway.
She
wasn't
was.
hallucinating that, but she was hallucinating the lights or whatever. And then
Yes.
she runs into Beth, and that's where we smash back into reality.
Yeah, and we
so
see.
she was actually running down the hallway, but the darkness was only chasing her in her mind.
Yeah, because then as soon as she hugs Beth, we see everybody else that's walking around.
Right, and
her.
everyone's like, what the fuck
just
is
going about
happening?
their business.
Right,
Yeah.
because that's what you do in a hospital.
You conceal, don't feel.
Let it go.
Let it go. Yeah.
So anyway, it jumps to a year later, right?
Yeah, and they're driving in the
Appalachians?
Appalachians.
Do they actually say where they're driving? Like, I know it says Appalachian Mountains or whatever, but do they actually ever...
I don't remember if they ever actually do. I have
mean,
in my mind that it's in West Virginia, but I,
I
can't
don't think it
remember.
is. I think it's in North Carolina
'Cause
because
we
the license
see-
plate.
yeah.
But I don't know.
They
I
did
mean,
It says
reference,
Dice.
Is it a real place? Chattanooga State Park?
yeah, it's like Chattanooga State Park. But I don't know if it's a real place. I've never heard of it.
It
but
is.
we don't
Hold
live
on.
in North Carolina.
I got a fun fact about that. We see them pass by Chattooga Park, and that's not a real place, but the Chattooga River is.
Okay.
And that is the river that Deliverance was filmed on.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And Deliverance was a big inspiration for
Yes,
this movie.
yes.
Yes.
What state did it take place in? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
North Carolina. It was filmed in Scotland, so
Yeah, it doesn't
none
really
of this
matter,
is
I guess.
America.
Fair enough. Do they all stay at the same cabin?
They do.
Yeah.
Because they all get there, right? And this is where we meet like 3 other blonde women and spiky-haired woman.
Yeah, Spiky and Big Sister and Little Sister.
Right, big sis, little sis.
I think it's
Okay, I think I'm confusing.
Juno's already there.
There's Sarah.
Sarah, who's the tallest of the
the
blondes.
The main antagonist.
Yes.
Then there's
Yeah.
Beth, Juno's protege, Spike.
Yeah.
Right.
Sarah's
And
the
then there's
protagonist.
Big sister, little sister.
Yes. Although I prefer to look at them all just as humans, you know?
Yeah, I don't really think there is a protagonist or antagonist.
And that's why I love this movie.
Yeah,
Because
I
I
mean-
think they're all like complex, well drawn characters.
Right, because I guess that they were initially going to put like a mixed
Yeah, it was
person,
gonna be a mixed
men and
gender
women.
cast.
So I guess to break norms for a movie like this, they decided to go with an all-women cast.
Yep.
I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
I was
I
a
do
fan.
too. That's one of the reasons I love this movie. Is really I guess some of the crawlers are men, but like the only man
Is that what
the
they're called in the
cheating
movie?
husband.
Crawlers?
I don't think they ever call them that in the movie, but that's
Hey,
what they're known
creatures!
as.
Yeah, they're like cavemen.
Yeah, but
mean,
they
they-
call them crawlers. Like they get to the cabin, they're all reuniting.
Right, and a
It
lot
feels
of them,
so good.
a lot of them, nice. A lot of them are like talking about how Sarah. This is like her first time back out. So like,
Yeah.
Sarah goes to the cabin and she was driving in with like I think Beth and someone else.
Beth and Sarah. No, Sarah and Beth are together.
Right, but
Because they're, like,
there were 3
besties.
people in the car.
Yeah, and we get the sense that Beth is really there's 2 people in the car.
There were 3 people in the car because one of them gets out. Sarah walks inside and Beth says to somebody, I think she's doing better. Like, listen, she's here.
She
Oh,
says that to
Spike.
All that
Juno,
matters.
who's already waiting for them outside.
Okay, so maybe that's
yeah,
fine.
there were 2 people in the car, and we get the impression that Beth is really the one who's been helping Sarah get through this hard time, and
That
that
would
none
make
of the
sense.
other friends have really been around, especially Juno.
I don't know exactly when we find out, but Juno does say at some point.
I'm sorry I wasn't in Scotland.
Right,
very long.
we don't find that until a little bit later. But I guess I could sort of guess that she wasn't going to be around because she was grieving her husband
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
Because she's a home wrecker.
Oh, Mecca.
Yeah, she's the worst. She's also the hottest though. Like I get it. She's super hot. So anyway, so they go inside and it becomes like, let's get high, let's get drunk, let's make fun of each other for wearing stupid jammies. Like I
Yeah.
don't
You
know.
know what sounds great before spelunking is
Spelunking?
Spelunking?
is a
Wow.
hangover.
Oh, yeah.
for real.
Oh yeah, but like this scene seemed like a bunch of men wrote dialogue.
It did say in the Wikipedia thing, like the article for the movie, that we interviewed women.
He talked to his friends, his female friends about it. Yeah, it kind of just seemed like what you think women are going to talk about. I didn't really find that like an annoying scene. Like I thought it was okay.
No, because Sarah does open up a little bit about it.
I mean, they're talking about her getting her degree.
No, because she says love each day, right? That's the first time
which is
Paul used to say that, and you see Juno go.
Because they look at we just get to know a little bit more about the character. So
I hope
we know.
no one looks at my eagle feather that Paul gave.
Oh,
we're about to hear the Michael Winslow eagle too. Yeah.
That eagle's been dead for 10 years.
Just like his career. They just go to bed, right?
So they wake up.
Yeah, they wake up.
No.
Oh, yeah. No, this is the part that got
wakes up.
Todd.
Sarah, quote unquote, wakes up.
In the middle of the night, she hears Michael Winslow outside.
Yeah, Michael Winslow is outside like
and actually,
eagling
I think
it
what
up.
she is hearing is a child's laughter.
Well, no, that's what wakes her up.
Or
and then she hears
crawlies.
the eagle. Yeah. Which I think is Paul from beyond the graves calling to Juno, really.
Yeah.
But we can get into that. Anyway, she walks to the
Good
window.
American.
Oh, my God.
He's from the UK.
Yeah.
Didn't make the trek over because, remember, he died a year ago. So Sarah goes to the window, and then she gets a pipe to the face.
And Todd said, no!
I don't know if I said no, but I did go, like I made a long-pitched noise. It was gross.
It was really funny.
And then she wakes up again.
Yeah, she wakes up.
So that whole thing was
Which is honestly a reoccurring theme for her throughout this entire movie.
It is, yeah.
She gets a pipe to the forehead just like her daughter.
So she wakes up, but then we cut to like Juno running outside.
Yeah, Juno's jogging because Juno doesn't get hangovers.
This is a good scene, guys. I'm just saying for reasons.
You know what, though? You hate that friend when you like drink hardcore and then you wake up the next morning.
And she's like done an Iron Man.
Todd's that guy.
Yeah.
Todd's that guy.
I do think they made her that person like going out for the run in the morning because you're supposed to hate her a little bit.
You are, I think you are
because
supposed to hate her.
she's the hot friend who stays hot no matter what she
and
eats.
Sleeps with your
she's
husband.
Super active. She's definitely down to clown with the husband. All of that shit. Yeah, you hate that friend.
I mean, I'm
not going to say her husband's not at fault too.
Right. Oh yeah.
Juno is waking everybody up. She smacks
she
Spike.
is being
waking
annoying.
everybody up, and then she lifts her leg just to show Sarah how flexible she was with her husband. I'm just saying that was a little bit of a power move on her part. Juno was like, "Oh, can you do this?"
Yeah, and then she tells Spike to try to do it because Spike is her
And
like
then-
adventure protege or
and
something.
then Spike does, and Spike
And falls over.
That was
Yeah,
sort of funny.
This is kind of a Juno is annoying, waking everybody up montage.
Does Spike slightly resemble the Corey from the Goonies?
Oh, Corey
can't picture
Feldman? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it. She is kind of annoying.
So this is when they're in the two cars racing to the hole in the ground.
Yeah, they let the girl who's super depressed and on a bunch of drugs drive them through the woods.
Oh,
at
yeah,
top
She did
speed.
drop some Xannies.
We
before
did
they got
see
in the
Sarah
She
pop
did.
some pills for sure.
Which, I mean,
Xan's gonna break you.
after
No
what
mumble
happened.
rap on the podcast, Chris. How many times do we have to talk about this?
Lambo.
So this is where we find out, though, that they're going to an easy spelunking cave.
It's a tourist trap.
It's a tourist trap. I think they were saying it's like a level
That
2
they're
or something
really
like that.
hoping that Juno brought the book for.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what you do when you spelunk.
That
Yeah.
is.
You
Why do you
bring
keep saying
reading material.
spelunk? You know it's called
Spelunking?
Spelunk.
Spelunk.
Spelunking. Woohoo!
My family is from the Appalachians.
Are
so
they Appalachians? If they were really from the Appalachians, you would say Appalachian.
Actually, it's more like Appalachian.
Appalachian. I'm gonna get my down in that cave, man. I'm gonna go by my spelunking.
All right. So,
There are crawlies everywhere.
all right. So,
I'm
whatever.
trying to make the noise and I can't do it.
No, you
didn't
can't.
even recognize it as the noise.
You ain't no Winslow.
I just haven't found my inner Winslow yet.
There you go.
It's there.
So they get to the, I guess, trailhead,
The hole.
right?
I said they found the hole. That's what I wrote down.
Well, there are like 6 of them.
12.
Fair enough. Well,
Up 18.
18. Yeah.
What holes are you counting?
All 3.
Oh, gross.
I wish we could keep that joke. 6, 12, 18. That was good. Fuck. I'm definitely gonna. I'll leave that, and I'll get an edit from Jen. I think counting sphincters is not a great move for us. All right.
You save it for the live show.
So they get to the trailhead, right?
Yeah.
And then they
Right.
start hiking out.
And
And
they
they
come across the first.
They find moose. Yeah.
Wait, what? What moose are you talking about?
The moose
They come
in the
across
woods.
the moose in the woods, and they're
Yeah.
like, Something did this.
Yeah. What was
I
it?
have no memory of
You're
that.
the weird one, Todd. We're talking about real things. You keep shaking your head like I'm talking about nonsense.
It's because Todd periodically tries to hide his face from the screen.
That's true.
Right.
So he
Or
doesn't shit
tries to
himself.
hide his fear by checking his phone.
I do that a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I just
know.
did that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Dump off the pressure, man.
I do. Like, I need to hit the release valve.
Yeah. That's what
And
I
that's
do.
not sexual the way it sounded. Like, I really meant like I need like a break, so I'll like look at my phone or whatever. I'll second screen this so hard.
Oh,
That
yeah.
also sounded sexual, but it was not meant to be. Like, I realized
I think when
that-
you add so hard to it, that's probably what did it. It's what pushed it over.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so they find the moose in the woods.
What
that Todd,
moose?
Oh my god, a moose
okay.
that really exists.
So, but this is what we're expected to do later in the movie. Think that the crawlers killed that, I guess?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what we're
it-
supposed to believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Because what else would kill a moose?
I mean,
bear?
A hunter
A
or a bear
squirrel?
or many
A skunk?
You
No,
hear that,
it's
Ron?
not fucking Halloween. So, like,
It's the rise of the skunk murders.
It's because their periods attract bears.
Oh.
you put the whole camp in jeopardy.
They follow the river to
Mm-hmm.
the actual cave opening.
Yeah, which is just a hole in the ground.
It is, but
And-
I'd imagine that a lot of them start that way. I honestly don't know
Because
though.
that's what a cave is, Todd.
Well, no,
A
but-
hole
Well, it could
in
be
the
a hole
ground.
in the mountain side.
yeah, but that's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
mine.
Yeah.
mine.
Shut up, Gandalf.
It's Gimli.
Oh, it is Gimli. I thought Gandalf said that, but you're right. It is Gimli.
How dare you?
Whatever, man.
So they find
Yeah,
the
for
opening
real.
to the cave.
They find the hole.
They do
the
find the
ground.
hole in the ground, and they
And they go
spelunk
down.
into it. They
Spelunk.
repel into it.
Spelunk.
They spelunk into it.
And as far as I can tell, I think this is the only actual part of the movie that was filmed in a cave, right?
I
With
think
that
so.
opening
I think the
scene.
rest of it was all filmed
It was
on
all,
sound
it was all
stages.
set built.
I mean, that makes sense. And I only say that because it does look really good when they're in the cave, quote unquote. But just to have the camera angles, they would need more room a cave would let them have.
Yeah, they
so
didn't
that
think
makes
it-
sense, but it still looks good.
Right. And that way you can design the actual curves you want the cave
Yeah, absolutely.
to have. They thought it would be more practical and safer.
Oh,
Plus,
yeah, I'm sure it is.
caves are terrible and no one wants to go down in a fucking cave.
Have you gone spelunking?
I mean, I've done Mammoth Cave.
Yeah, but
But you walked through Mammoth Cave, right?
I've
like
done
the
Mammoth
tour
Cave.
Mammoth Cave?
Yeah, there's
yeah,
some
there
stuff
are
up
like
in,
guardrails.
Up in like East Tennessee, though, where
You
you can
didn't
do
Floyd
like,
Collins Mammoth Cave, though, is all I'm saying.
I'm still here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know who Floyd Collins is.
He's
but
the guy who got trapped in. It was Mammoth Cave, though, right?
I don't know. Is that story even true?
Yes, it is true.
The song is great.
Yeah, there's a
Blackstone Cherry.
there's a Blackstone Cherry song called "The Ghost of Floyd Collins." It is a true story because I've heard another podcast, The Dollop, do with a story. It's really
cool,
insane.
cool.
Yeah. So they rappel down into
the deep dark hole.
right. And this is where Sarah is like looking around the entryway, right?
Yeah, and she sees
sees
the
a bloody
claws.
hand. Mm-hmm. Wait,
no,
what was it?
Not a bloody hand. She sees like a hand, like fingerprints, bloody fingerprints.
Yeah.
On the cave
Yeah,
wall.
like claw.
I said
prints.
hand. I meant hand print. You're right.
There's a bloody hand.
Yeah, that's a very big difference. If they see a bloody hand, they're repelling out. Yeah, but they sort of just
You
ignore
know
it.
what though? Sarah is the only one for the first like 30 minutes when they're in the cave.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
the one
She's
seeing
the
shit
one that only notices, and everyone thinks
Yeah.
that she's crazy.
She is,
or
yeah.
seeing shit.
Yeah.
Or hearing shit.
So
yeah,
they
so
go in-
Sarah hears something, and then she finds the little claw thing. Oh, yeah, and
That's
she
right.
gets got by the bats, yeah. And they've kind of talked about, do we think Sarah can handle this? Is she okay, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's I think a
'Cause
fair
she's
question.
fragile.
Yeah, and it's her first time back out adventuring.
And because the last time when her family died, it was when they were adventuring, so I'm sure this is probably a trigger for her.
Sure,
Yeah.
or at least the drive home would be.
And nobody fucking wants to go into a cave.
So they do find the entryway into the cave from that little entryway area, and
They
they
do.
kind of squeeze their way in.
Yeah, and that's when Big Sister starts to say, "This doesn't look like the book. This is not
Right.
what I was expecting." Yeah, and then Spike starts to go first, and she kind of spikes through the caves and everything.
She takes point.
Yeah,
Does
she takes
she
point.
seem like she's like 5 to 10 years younger than everybody
She
else?
does,
Yeah,
yeah, and I
definitely.
think partly because I say she's the protege, also because she's immature.
Right, that's what I was going to say. So
Yeah, yeah.
everyone else sort of, I think, has maybe just more experience adventuring.
Yeah.
Because she's just like darting through, which is ultimately what leads her to break her leg and then die,
she's
more or less.
reckless.
Yeah,
you
she's
know?
reckless.
And that's what the thing, like, I have a friend who does skydiving, and he's talked about, like, there's this period in your skydiving career where you start to feel more comfortable, and then you start taking a lot of chances before you're really ready, and that's when it's the most dangerous period for you because you're not ready to take that stuff back. And I think that's where she is. She's, like, really excited to do all these fun things, but she doesn't have the maturity or the adventure knowledge to handle it.
To not
And-
fall down the cave butthole and break her leg.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where
So
are
we
we?
have the montage of them walking through caves. Set to
Right.
Yakety
Oh,
Sax.
Sarah gets stuck. That's
Yeah.
sort of the next
Nope.
big thing that
they-
happens,
they-
right?
Oh yeah. Oh, and this is my one of my favorite parts of the movie too. Yeah. So Sarah, they're going through a super tight hole.
Right.
Super.
I mean, I do like me a tight hole. I get it. So like they're all getting through.
Listeners, I really tried to avoid that, but
Yeah,
you know.
you brought it up.
I know, I really did. So they're going through a really tight passageway.
Ooh, I do like me a
Oh my
really
God.
tight passageway.
So the cave they're going through is really
So
small.
sorry, Mom.
Oh my God.
So yeah, anyway, they go through that, and Sarah goes last
She's last, yeah, and she's got the rope bag, and then she gets stuck. Beth
because
comes-
she's trying to climb on the rope
She's
bag.
really inexperienced. She
Yeah.
gets a little scared.
I don't think she is inexperienced. I think she knows what she's doing. I think she's just about as experienced as Juno, but she's been out of the game for a while because she's been through her trauma.
Yeah, I honestly just think it was a stupid mistake, and she freaks out a little bit.
I think so too.
And then,
yeah.
was it Beth that came back to get her? Yeah, so
Beth
Beth comes back
to get her. Mm-hmm.
to get her, and then the thing starts
because
collapsing.
Beth is the good friend.
Yes,
Yeah.
but first, before she says this, because I want to say this is my favorite part of the movie, she says, the worst thing that could happen to you has already happened and you're still here. And I love that part. And anytime, well, not anytime, but lots of times when I've got tough things going on in my life, I remember that part and I say that to myself, and it's just so awesome.
I want to point out that Beth is fucking wrong, though, because the worst thing in her life that's about to happen is about to happen.
That's right.
So Beth is a goddamn liar, even though she doesn't mean it is. I'm not saying it shouldn't hold weight for
Yeah.
you, that the thing
Oh,
that
yeah.
gives you so much power in these situations is a goddamn lie.
well,
but
the
yeah, I'm
last
just
time I
saying.
said it to myself, I got attacked by a bunch of cave monsters. So,
Oh,
you know.
well then nailed it. You've been through it. That's
Exactly.
fine. Yeah, I get
and
it,
I'm
I get it.
still here. Yeah. Okay. So then the stuff starts to collapse, and
Yeah, the
that's when
cave in.
she suddenly realizes she's known how to get out of the cave the whole time.
I've known how to leave all the time.
Right.
So they start scurrying out.
They
and
do.
they do. They get out.
Dude, and she goes really fast backwards.
Yeah, someone called Beth Big Daddy because she backed that ass up.
I love that.
Dude, juvenile reference. Well done.
Thank you. Woo! Anyway, so she does. They get out, but the
Yeah.
cave collapses, right?
The cave collapses,
And then,
and Sarah kind of, this is another one where you're saying she kind of passes out for a minute, and she sees, this is the first time we see her with the birthday cake.
yeah, we
see
see
the birthday
Jessica,
cake.
her daughter, with the birthday cake. Right.
Or we just see the birthday cake. I'm not sure if we see Jessica.
Oh,
yet.
I thought she was I thought Jessica was in every birthday cake scene, but we see it a
I
lot,
can't
and I
remember.
honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, you might be right. I honestly don't know. But anyway, so she wakes up and they're arguing over what to do. Older sister is like, I don't remember this from the book. There should be 3 ways in and out of this place.
Yeah.
And where's the book? Where's the book? And
And
Juno's like, I didn't bring it.
I didn't bring the
There
book.
was no point.
Right.
And this is where we find out that Juno took them to a place that was not the place they said they were going.
Right.
And no one's ever done this cave before,
Or
and they're
so you
fucked.
think.
Say it
What
again.
happens? what happens after they realize Juno screwed them?
And then
Right.
Sarah starts hearing noises.
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
where Sarah starts to hear, I think, laughter first.
Yeah, she hears the laughter, and then
Which is the laughter from her dream, right? Like, it's not.
I think so.
I
yeah.
don't think she's actually hearing.
No, see, it goes back and forth, though. It happens throughout the movie where it goes back and forth between her hallucinations and what's really happening.
Right, like honestly, it sounds like, what is that? Like the clickety clackety
Sonar.
sounds? Yeah, well, it's the echolocation they're doing,
Yeah.
but it sounds like, I want to say
It's
clams
like
slapping together. Okay.
fingernails on claw. Like it's like the sounds of them and their teeth.
It's that sound.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is
That's
that
them
sound.
like
That is terrifying. Never do that close to me.
that's them biting against the bones.
What?
That's them biting against the bones. It might actually be the bones clicking when they're walking on them because they do walk on a lot of
I think
bones.
it's them making that
No,
noise so they can
it's,
hear.
it's
Yeah,
them. It's like echolocation.
yeah, it's them
It
making
can
the
be lots
echolocation
of
noise.
stuff. Okay?
Well,
these crawlers are gross.
So anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah, so
How many
Sarah
times do you cut
is-
that out of podcast? Because I feel like we do that
every one of
every
them.
time.
Well, it hasn't made it into a podcast in quite some time.
Needs to make it on the bingo
In
card.
fact, you know what? There was a few times you did that in the earlier episodes, and I was listening on the way into work, taking my daughter, and she'd go,
Oh,
Sky loves me.
we do need to start having an internal bingo card.
Uncle Todd.
Uncle Todd.
That's what she calls me.
Aw. Sarah hears noises and they start thinking that she's a little nuts and maybe we cannot
Oh,
say
they're
it.
like, take it easy on her.
Yeah,
You know,
she
we have to
lost
get out
so
of here.
much.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. She
And
lost so
that's-
much. We
And that's
all
when
lost something
Juno,
that,
Juno says, we all lost someone. Yeah. And I don't think this is the first time like she's come close to admitting that she slept with a husband. Because I think Beth kind of.
Beth is the only one who knows what.
Yeah.
Does
and
okay, but does Beth actually know,
I think
or did
Beth
she just have suspicion?
suspects.
Okay, so because
Yes.
we see her suspect something at the very beginning, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I just
and then
wondered
she
if
probably She's probably
Suspicious.
suspiciousness.
That's the word, Chris.
That is.
That's how
yeah.
you say it.
Suspicious. Yeah, that's why she.
Suspicious. Brought to you by Tarp Tarp Brands.
Nice. It's the suspiciousness of the Tarp line. Yeah, so I think I don't know what I'm even saying anymore.
Nobody knows.
I know. That's the fun of podcasting. Oh yeah, I think that's why she thinks that Juno left so quickly because I think she knows.
Oh yeah, you mean after the accident?
Right,
Absolutely.
that she didn't stay very long.
Yeah.
Beth. I love Beth in this movie because Beth is really the caretaker for Sarah. She's the one. Yeah,
she's the true friend.
she is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, honestly, though, for the next like 20 minutes of this movie, it's just them trying to find a way out. The only thing that gets remotely like connected to the crawlers is the occasional freak out of Sarah's.
Yes.
Yeah, where
Sarah,
she hears that sound, the echolocation sound.
Yeah,
right?
and there. I think at one point it's when you said this is like a cheesy '80s Red movie, and
you see
one
the
of the
back of
crawlers
one.
is in the background.
Yeah.
Did you
What?
see that?
I didn't see that.
It's really, really subtle.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you really only can see the silhouette.
The first time I saw one was when Spikey runs ahead and falls down the sphincter and breaks her leg, and then
and then you
nice-
see the drooliness, right?
oh shit! I guess
Yeah.
we don't actually. Okay, we sort of see the outline of one there, and that's before that.
Yeah.
Because I remember saying, "Oh shit," or
What's
something
that?
like that.
First
Yeah.
time I would say you actually see
Yes,
the creature.
I agree. They're going through the caves, having some fun, thinking Sarah's a little crazy. They realize they're lost. They're doing that thing with the match or the lighter, and that's how they find the cave.
Oh yeah, looking for the breeze, right?
Yeah. And then they almost fall off a gigantic cliff, and they just manage to save themselves.
I don't know who says it, but one of them drops a rock, and
Yeah.
it takes forever for it to land and
Yeah.
make the sound.
They're like-
and then one of them goes, "Well, thanks for telling us how far down it is," or
right,
whatever.
right.
You're like,
Thanks, little sister.
yeah. Like, so this is when they have to
Okay,
free
so
climb
then Big
across.
Sister
Yeah.
goes across with these little hook
She's a
things.
badass, man. Like
Oh,
I've done
man.
a lot of rock climbing, and that is what she does is very difficult. I realize
yeah.
it's a movie, but it's still a badass thing for her to do.
And here's why I love this movie, because they're all women doing this, and nobody's like, I can't believe we're women and we can do this. Yeah, aren't we awesome? They just do it because they're awesome
I feel
women.
like you were internalizing that the whole time. They're like, look at these women being awesome. I could do that. I'm an awesome woman.
I was. That's what representation will do. When
Oh,
you
yeah.
see someone who looks like you do something awesome.
I guess just being a white guy, like I
You're just
always
used to see
feel that way.
everyone doing
I mean,
all the good stuff.
Todd and I just didn't look at each other and we're like, damn.
Yeah. A girl could do that?
I'll say I could not do what
Oh,
she
no,
did.
I couldn't
And
either.
I've rock climbed for years. I mean, I haven't in quite a few years, but
That's incredibly difficult.
yeah, even
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was rock climbing like 3 or 4 days a week for like 2 years, I could not do it.
Yeah, it's the grip strength.
Oh
yeah.
it's insanely difficult. And she just,
I mean, Todd's got fantastic grip strength.
what up, ladies? Or lady now, I guess. But yeah, like so she gets across, essentially top roping, and with
But they do make a little discovery. The ancient piton
Oh, yeah.
in the...
yeah.
They make a climbing faux pas.
They
where
do.
they
They
do.
do.
Because you're not supposed to trust anybody else's rigs, especially when those rigs have been dead for 10 years.
What about Murtaugh?
Or-
Can you trust someone's Murtaugh?
Let's say that hook is definitely getting too old for this shit.
Nailed it, Jen. So yeah, anyway, like Jen is so
Boom.
fucking proud. Look at her face right now. She's like,
I am.
Yeah.
Where's the Gatorade?
yeah, I crushed it. She's like running around the room asking for high fives from people.
Woo!
And it's just
Hey guys,
me.
am I funny yet? Am I funny yet? Am I funny yet?
Validate me. Anyway, so they do climb across.
We're
they
laughing
throw
'cause it's
another
true.
rope and sort of zip line back and forth, right? And then
Yes.
the last person, who's Juno. has to
Mm-hmm.
free climb it because they need all the ropes and she can't zip line
Yeah,
across.
she got to bag it
So
up.
this is where this is where she has to free climb back and take the gear down.
Mm-hmm.
And when she gets to the old one that's too old for this shit, it rips out and then she falls and, they
And
sort of
rips
lift it
a
back
hole
up.
in little sister's hand because she's holding the rope.
Which is a little
little sister.
Oh no, my hand.
exactly. As someone who's done that kind of thing before, when you're wearing leather gloves that you should be when you're holding rope like that, that would never ever happen.
Okay, can...
Juno's got a
just
lot of
little
muscle
bit,
mass.
Just a little bit to...
I think that meant
to kind of counteract that statement. Now that was my hand, but I was had like skate shoes on, and I was on a boat, random. Don't worry about it. On the
So
rope.
wait, you were wearing Vans on a boat?
Yep. They were DCs, but who's counting?
Either way, both skate shoes.
So I had my foot on the rope, and the boat was a houseboat, and it drifted out, and I was standing on the rope. My foot stayed stationary. The rope burned a hole completely through the sole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's friction. Yeah.
But that's what the leather's for.
It rubs off your mustache.
The Parks and Recreation reference.
Yeah. Yeah. But it burns a hole in her hand and it's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if that actually happened, it would very, very much hurt.
I have to say, I like the way she works it because we sang the.
No diggity.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt.
Yeah. Okay.
Blackstreet.
Lay-o, way-o, way-o, way-o.
So Big Sister's hands are burned.
No, little sister.
Little sister's
yeah.
hands are burned. She's crying.
Little sister.
Yeah. Thou shalt hold rope.
Kiefer Sutherland's like trying to bite everybody. Anyway,
I mean,
Michael.
he could have been hanging from that cave.
he could have been.
There were bats earlier.
There were.
Whoa. Do
Oh my
we ever
God.
see Kiefer Sutherland and the cave and Cry Little Sister and Rope Bernie Hands in the same cave?
Rope burning hands. Yes.
That joke kind of went off the
Kiefer
rails.
Sutherland. No. It's a mixed bag, Jen. It's a mixed bag. Anyway,
It's a mixed rope bag, if you will.
of which they only have one left. So they
Yeah.
then
So-
venture forth into the cave.
Then they keep going. That's when they find the cave paintings. And they light the flares.
Right, they
or
light the
something.
flare so they can see, and they see two entrances,
Yeah.
or maybe an entrance and an exit, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So they realize that even though we don't have the book, the cave painting provided us enough information.
Right.
I thought this was sort of ridiculous.
What are you talking about? It totally made sense.
It did.
I'm not saying it
Are you
didn't
gonna be
make
like
sense.
Holly and smart shame Beth for knowing
No.
this stuff?
Okay, can I
Like,
just
we
ask-
don't want to waste the flare on that
So,
shit.
When I
And then
saw
she
this,
saves their
the
lives.
first place that my mind went to, I was like, wait a minute. So have these crawlers slowly evolved into these non-seeing things, and they were once able to make
Yes.
cave paintings themselves?
Yes,
Yeah, I
that's
think
what
they
I
were.
thought for sure. That's
Yeah.
what I thought, and we hadn't really seen them yet. I was like, oh, these are just evolved cavemen, more or less.
And that was the intention
Cave
of the
people.
director, too,
Right.
the writer-director, that they were humans who had evolved and gotten trapped in the cave.
yeah,
It became perfect cave-killing
but
machines.
they're not
say
trapped.
I know.
But-
This is what I didn't like
but they're
about
not
it.
trapped.
If they can get out of the cave, why don't they get out of the cave? I
They
guess I
do.
don't-
They get out of the cave to kill moose.
And
they
then bring
eat
it back
those
in the
moose.
cave.
Maybe they like it in the cave.
But if the okay, all right.
It's dark and warm, and there's blood bone lakes in there. What's not
Next
to like?
band name.
Blood
Blood
Bone
Blood
Lakes.
bone lakes. But then they keep moving, and I think this is when Spike just starts to
This
run
is
ahead,
when-
and this is when Spike gets
You
hurt.
just know.
Gets
You
got to the
just
leg.
know something's going to happen.
Yeah, because I see daylight. No, you don't, bitch.
Yeah, it's the Phosphorus Aurealis. I
The
think.
Phosphorialis.
Phosphordavid borealis. So it's not a phosphorescent reality, it's a phosphorescent mirage.
Nailed it. All right. So then Spikey turns her leg into a spike as she falls down the sphincter hole. Yeah.
And so we see her in like this pit of despair, and she's hanging on, and she's looking at Juno, and Juno's got her hand, and then she just slowly falls down and bonks her leg
I think
apart.
I hurt my leg.
Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, if my bone
Yeah.
was sticking out of my leg like Spike, I'd be yelling like a woman.
right.
And she was like, I think I hurt my leg. Like she was not fine because her bone was sticking out, but she was like,
Yeah.
And then she like had to touch it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And inspect it, and she sees that her bone is sticking out of it.
And then they all come down there, and this is where they start to set her bone, but Sarah goes off.
yeah, Sarah
And this
goes
is where
off and
This is the
explores.
first time, like when I said this is the first time they see them, this is what I was thinking of. Because she flashes her flashlight or her headlamp or whatever down like the passageway.
And she
and you
sees him off
see
in the
really
distance.
far away, you see a full cave creature guy.
You do. And he, I think, acknowledges or something, or she says, hey, or something, and then he
looks over at him,
skedaddles.
but then skedaddles out of the way.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, we see him for like a good 5 seconds, 10
We do.
seconds. Like,
Yeah.
it's so far away, you don't really quite see exactly what it is, but you see it. enough.
Yeah, so we know if Sarah were seeing it, we wouldn't quite know what it is, but we know because we know we're watching a horror movie that there's some fucked up shit down there.
Anyway, while they're setting Spike's leg, she runs back in and is like, hey, I saw there's someone here. There's someone down here.
Yeah.
And if they know how to get in here, they can help us get out. It's going to be great. We can get
Right.
out.
It's
and
party
they're like, you're
time.
seeing things. You're
Yeah.
insane.
You were afraid, and your mind saw what it wanted to see. This
You were
is when
popping little
said-
Zans.
They sounded like a dolphin.
It's
I think you
gonna
called him
break
Flipper.
You.
Oh my God.
It's gonna break you.
Oop,
That-
oop. But she heard laughter, and that's why she's exploring. And so up to this point, she is the only one that has seen anything. And maybe I should say this now, because there is a fan theory that none of the crawlers are real and that Sarah just killed everyone because she went crazy when she was down
I
there.
can see that.
And so I think that's what, and apparently that was, I think the director kind of intended that, but he took out a scene that would confirm that. So it's a little ambiguous. I don't think that's what happens, but I think you can see that because every time she sees one of those things, it's triggered by her hearing laughter, and then she goes to investigate, and that's when she sees something.
Damn,
but
that would have been awesome.
that would have been, I mean, I think you could still interpret it that way, if you wanted to. There's just not
Kinda-
the confirming
Kind
scene.
of like a Babadookin.
Yeah. Oh, love that movie.
Right?
They set her leg in the most disgusting
God.
way
I
possible.
mean, it's got to
Like
be
this.
done, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then they use the pickaxe or the
Because
rock axe,
what
or whatever you
Todd
call
said
that.
was like, she's done, just forsake
Leave
her.
her.
Oh, yeah. The second Spike fell down the hole, I was like, well, Spike's done. We got to move on with our lives. Like, we can't.
Exactly. Yeah. Plus, she's kind of annoying.
She
So,
was.
She really had it coming because she is reckless. She's kind of a loose cannon.
She was the.
She is the Riggs.
I was about to say that.
If
when you
only
said
she
that.
could-
We're about to
Finally-
see some shit, though. Like, shit's
Oh,
We
about
are.
to
yeah.
happen.
Okay, because they finally put her leg back together
Yes.
again.
And they set it with the rock axe or whatever you
Yeah,
call that.
yeah.
Pickaxe.
The pickaxe, thank you.
Yeah.
So they set it with that. And then she's, honestly, Spike's sort of a badass. And I'm just going to say it. She is stupid and she was reckless. But
Yeah, she's
when
tough.
when they set her leg, she's like, all right, let's do this.
Right,
And
right.
she's hobbling on her own, which.
She is.
Dude, if
She didn't
I
get very
was down there, I'd be
far,
like,
but-
fuck you can't leave me.
I know.
Quit carrying me to safety.
I would. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
I would be losing my fucking mind
Yes.
and just crying
Yes.
and histrionic.
But Spike was like, whatever, set it and forget it. Let's go. She crushes
she
it. dude.
crockpotted that leg.
Oh, yeah. She's
Yeah.
a badass.
But
Whatever,
I also
man.
would never be down in that well. Not well.
No, you would never find me down there.
No, dude.
No.
Because that's stupid because you get your legs
If
broke.
I was down there, though, and that whole thing happened, I would just join the crawling team.
Yeah, you just give up, man.
Yeah.
You're like...
Turn me into
I
a
think-
crawler.
I mean, honestly,
if that happened and you got a scratch on your arm, I think you probably would have just given up and joined the crawler team.
I wouldn't even had to get a scratch. Honestly, that
The
woman,
second you heard a clicky noise, you're like,
I'd be like,
Why
this is
did
my
none
life
of them-
now.
I'm
You know
one with
what?
the
I would have
crawlers.
gouged my eyes out, met a crawler wife,
Yeah.
and just made
Just-
little crawler babies.
Right. Just see what happens, you know?
But think about it. Our half-breed babies would probably have the gift of sight, and we could rule the land as kings.
Oh my gosh. If you could find a way to get
Somebody
out of the hole.
find me a cave. So where are we?
I don't know. Oh, so then they crawl up to the ledge of bones. So they're in the bone layer.
Oh, and that's when they start using the video camera.
Yes, because they
The
can't
night
see.
vision or infrared or
The
whatever it is?
infrared, yeah.
Because
They realize,
camcorders have infrared.
Yeah, $30 camcorders definitely have infrared.
okay, so they realize they're standing on a bunch of bones. And then we recorded this and we put it on our social channels too, because I recorded Todd's reaction.
It really scared me. And I knew it was coming because they go to the camcorder, right? They go to the camcorder footage.
And you were talking about this in Grave Encounters when they
No,
have those quick
I hate
turns.
quick cuts. Or the quick
Yeah.
turns. So the camera's doing these quick pans. It shows all the women, and it it scans through all of them, and then scans back to like the middle of the group. And this time, one of the crawlers is right over the shoulder, and I did like a
Oh, yeah.
shit.
You know what though? What's scary about that is the way that creature is slowly just sitting there. It's like
Yeah.
it's just waiting for them
It's
to
like
make a noise.
leering over
Well,
them.
yeah, because
And it's a foot taller. Granted, the rest of the crawlers aren't that size, but that
yeah.
one
Maybe he's standing
is-
on a rock.
Well,
Anyways, he's just leering over
just-
her
yeah,
though. Yeah.
just quiet.
Because he probably can't see her.
He can't.
He hasn't crept up.
We don't know this
behind
yet
her.
because they haven't said it, but their eyes don't work, which makes sense that they're cave dwellers and have been down the whole evolutionary process. But if you look at in the shot, his ear is towards the camera, like he's listening in, and I think that's even more creepy.
What y'all talking about?
Yeah. What you talking about, women's?
Oh.
So this crawler attacks
And
them.
so then, well, no, I think they see him, they scream, and then they all run
screamed, too.
away. Oh yeah, Todd punched
you
the
didn't scream,
ottoman.
You just went like, "Grrr!"
and
no
then-
shit, I think is what I said. Then I punched the ottoman thing, and my hand still hurts.
Aw.
And
And so then they all scatter running away, and this is why Spike gets got because she got a hobble because
Right.
she got her leg spike, you know.
She just got hyenaed.
Yeah, and so then the crawler like bites her neck out, and then this is awesome because Juno tries to fight the crawler off.
over her body, like it seems like
Exactly.
Juno does
They're
not.
fighting. They're honestly like Spike's down.
Yeah,
like,
Spike is
done,
pretty
more or
much
less done
already
for.
dead.
And the crawler and Juno fight over the body.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if Juno knew she was like dead, but like they were fighting over just her dead body.
Well, and
more or
even
less.
that, like if my body dies in a cave, I don't want to just like rot in the cave for people to eat. I want them to sacrifice their
I don't
own
really care
lives.
so much. Yeah, I don't really care so
Oh,
much.
I do.
If I'm dead, you can do whatever you want to my corpse.
Wait, really?
Yeah, 100%.
Anything?
That's why
Not me.
that's why I'm an organ donor. Like I don't care. Take everything and use it.
I'll donate my. Never mind.
Gross. Sausage.
They do. Okay, we gotta talk about that.
Yeah. Why do they yell sausage right before they take the photo?
Is that really what they yell?
That's what it sounded like. Now, I may be projecting my male fantasy on that photo, but still, I'm pretty sure they yelled
it doesn't
sausage.
seem like the kind of thing that a bunch of
seemed out of
British
place.
women on holiday
I
would
know
yell.
a bunch of Billy badass women.
Yeah,
are,
sausage.
Like maybe
they had sausage for breakfast and it was really good.
Maybe.
Or maybe they said something like,
because I always yell out my breakfast food.
I do.
after.
Waffles!
Hollandaise sauce.
Just hollandaise sauce?
Dude, I would
Disgusting.
drink that thing out of a can. That shit is so good.
Put some butter and milk. That's basically hollandaise.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so then Juno is fighting with Crawler Man. I think Crawler Man has already killed Holly. This is when Sarah gets separated. And then a second crawler jumps on Juno, and that's when she lets go of Holly's body and just has to fight this crawler guy off. And then she kills the crawler. I can't remember exactly how.
She kills it with the pickaxe.
With the pickaxe,
Yeah.
and then she picks it back up. She hears another crawler behind her, and it goes, junk!
Right
And
into
it's
Beth's throat.
Yep, it's Beth. All along, yeah. Which Todd said, I mean, you don't sneak up on somebody with a pickaxe who's
I'm
like
not
battle
saying
ready.
it's Beth's fault because it was dark in there.
But
or
it
whatever.
was an accident. I don't think Juno intended to kill
No,
Beth.
there's
Just
no
like
way
she
you
didn't
can
intend to do
Sleep
Paul.
with husband.
Oh no, she intended that.
I don't know. Maybe she just fell.
She just fell on his dick.
Right.
That's what it was.
You'd have anyone, you know.
No, but no, she swings and more or less kills Beth, although
Yeah.
she's not really dead. We'll get to that in a second.
She
But
picks her to the throat.
yeah, picks her to the throat. And I don't know, you just don't if Chris had just killed someone with like a pickaxe, I wouldn't run up to him. I'd be like from
Yeah.
a distance,
Say,
hey, you all right?
You okay? You need any help
You
down
need
there?
help? You got this, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Don't
keep running this
pickaxe
way.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's Beth's fault, but she could have chose a better option there.
She could have. Yeah, don't creep up behind.
But
pickaxe
anyway,
her. But
I
yeah.
don't think Juno meant to do that.
Oh no, I don't think
Yeah.
she did at all. And that's part of the reason I don't think Juno is really an evil character. I like this movie because she's a well-rounded person. And I was listening to Faculty of Horror and they were talking about how she just has bad luck and doesn't make the best choices. I think what this movie does is force everybody to confront their shit. You know? And I think
absolutely.
they both have to. And I think as they go through, I think the trajectory of Juno is realizing how shitty she has been.
Yes.
And for Sarah, it's kind of reclaiming who
powerful,
she
yeah.
was. Yeah. It's confronting who Juno was, which takes her down, and Sarah realizing who she can be. And kind of
The
facing
strength she actually has.
reality. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Juno is a badass, and she kills.
And she looks like a badass in this scene because she's like Krav Maga these crawlers to death.
She is,
And then
yeah.
she kills her friend, or quote unquote, she thinks she kills her friend.
And she leaves
So
her.
I have a question. I have
Yeah.
a question about that. So when Beth, spoiler alert, Beth comes back later, and we'll get to that scene. But
Yeah.
how does Beth get the leaf with?
Beth gets pickaxe to the throat, tries to grab the thing, pulls out the feather. She got it in her hand.
She tries to grab Juno.
She
Yeah.
does. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then grabs the necklace.
Yes.
Yeah.
The pendant thingy that's been on the pickaxe for 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. And then just leaves Beth for dead. I think she assumes Beth's dead. She does what Todd would do to anyone down in the cave
Yeah.
who gets a flesh wound.
Yeah.
Just forsakes them.
If you trip, I'm leaving you for dead.
right. You better keep up.
Yeah, you better not stumble.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, this is like shit is popping off. Everyone's running in their own directions.
Yeah, this is where everyone gets split up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beth is dead, quote unquote, but Spike is actually dead. And then Sarah goes down to the feeding pit.
Yeah,
And I think we follow her.
She sees her daughter and she follows her daughter.
Yes.
And they go to the feeding pit. Yes. We see them through the camcorder. All the creepy crawlies just have a feeding frenzy on Spike.
Yes.
It's gross.
And there's a few times where they almost pick up on Sarah being there, and you start to that's when you start to realize that maybe these
They
things,
can't see
That they're
anything.
blind.
Yeah.
Because the crawler gets right in the face of the camera and we get to see like his whole head, and that's when Todd started dry heaving.
Yeah, because it's real gross. But
is
so does
gross.
she, doesn't she?
Yeah, she
And
actually
then
that's when you
She
started.
silently dry heaves.
We realize that their eyes don't work. They have to echolocate. But I'm pretty sure Sarah dry heaves a little bit while the creature's like right on her, and then he
Someone
hears
screams.
the
Yeah.
other pack of
The
women who have
sisters,
run a different
yes.
way. So the sisters, okay.
Yeah, and so they're huddled in one of the narrow passages, and then he crawls over the sisters,
Yes.
and that's when they realize they can't see.
Oh, that's a really cool scene though, where the sisters are laying, they're pretty much cuddled up together, and one of the crawlers comes up next to them. It gets so close, it
Yeah,
screams.
it's basically right on top of
Yeah.
them.
Oh yeah, and then it goes over them, and then one of their watches start going off.
Yeah, what'd
and
you
then she
say?
takes it off and
Thanks,
throws it.
boyfriend.
Well, yeah, because her boyfriend gave that to her.
Yeah.
So then she throws the watch, and then the creepy caller comes back, but goes to the watch.
Yeah, and that's when Juno hears the watch and starts yelling for him, and they make the choice to ignore Juno and not tell him where they are,
Yeah.
which is a smart choice. Then Sarah MacGyvers and makes a torch out of Spike's body, which is cool.
Out of her body? What does she use to like
She's getting all kind of shit off of Sarah's
she
corpse.
rips some of the clothes off of
Spike?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And part of the stuff they used for the splint too, I think, right?
Yeah, the bandage.
Yeah.
And then,
it makes a torch.
She finds like an old lantern.
No, she carabiner lights a fire. She clicks the two carabiners
But I think
together.
she uses that torch
She shakes
oil.
That torch
Oh,
oil.
the-
pours it on the
Lights the
the
fire.
bandage thing, yeah.
On the torch.
And that's what creates the torch.
the ignition point. Yeah. And then we start to see Juno start to hunt these things. She sees them and she gets that mad Juno look in her eye.
She does.
And she starts
She
to
sort of
hunt
looks
'em down.
badass, like
She
no joke.
is badass.
Yeah.
After killing the first creepy crawly, that's when she's like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna
And
kill
they're
'em all.
also they have a little bit of an advantage against the creepy crawlies.
They do because they can the
right.
advantage of sight.
Right. So there's a lot more creepy crawlies than there are. So I mean, they are outnumbered by far.
Yeah.
But they can see. They're probably a little bit smarter, if not a lot smarter. But
They
yeah.
have women's intuition.
Or I mean, they just have the women's
The power of evolution.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So the sisters are walking through the cave, and a creepy crawly comes up behind them.
That's
That's
right,
when we
because
see Juno,
that's
and I
right.
think this is the one that Juno's been hunting. And then we start to see her come around and just like smash him to the head.
Right in the spine. I think he's right in the spine.
Right, and that's when they
spinal.
It's spinal.
spinal. That's when they look down and they try to decide what it is, and they talk about it.
Yeah, and that because one of them is about to be a doctor. I think it's younger sister's about to be a
Yeah,
doctor.
little
Yes.
sister kind of gives an overview of the creepy crawlies' advantages and
Right, and that it is human, which
Right.
it is. Yeah,
And that they can't see. But this is when they confirm the stuff that we've already sort of guessed.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I think we have forgotten to mention that they've been finding an old timey miner's helmet and some like an arrow drawn or something like that.
Yes.
The people before had marked their way out of the cave, and Juno found it. So now they have a legit way to get out. If
Yeah, they
can
have a
just survive.
path to take at least.
Right. So that's their plan.
But now Juno and the two sisters are together. And
Right.
so it's Juno and the two sisters in a pack, and then Sarah by herself.
Yes.
In
Well,
the feeding pit.
well,
not for long, because Sarah finds
Right.
Beth.
And this is where Sarah finds Beth, who's been throated, but
Yeah.
can still talk through the power of cave magic. Sorry, this is where Beth tells Sarah that Juno was having sex with her husband.
Yeah,
and then
don't
gives-
trust her.
Right. And that she killed her, more or less.
Yeah, and gives her the little feather charm. And
Yeah,
that's
to
how she
prove
tells
that,
her.
yeah.
yeah.
And
Well,
then-
she doesn't really even say that.
Yeah, she doesn't, because I don't think Beth really knows. But what Beth does know is that you had this charm, and I'm assuming that
They make that connection.
yeah,
that
because he
Sarah-
said that all the time.
Yeah, love each day. Sarah says that when they're in the cabin. Then they find it on the back of that pendant that was given to Juno.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
little eagle feather.
And
Yeah.
then then you see Sarah's complete transformation.
Yeah, she starts to see. She
Well,
starts to
after-
realize.
Yeah, it really is.
Wait, but then it gets so much worse.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So you don't see her transformation just yet. But
Yeah.
Beth asks Sarah to kill her.
Yes.
And
She
Sarah
obliges.
obliges. Yeah.
Well, she doesn't want to at first. She says, I can't. And then they hear the creepy crawlies start
Yeah.
to come.
And I do think this is like an act of very violent kindness.
Oh,
if that
yeah, I
makes any
agree, 'cause she
sense. You know,
smashes
I would
her head
rather
with a
have
rock.
I'd rather have Chris smash my head with a rock to death than be eaten from stomach out. You know?
Exactly,
So,
yeah.
Which is
I would do that for you.
I appreciate that. Which is what she does. I mean, she crushes her skull and then moves on more or less with her torch.
Oh no! But after she does that, she gets attacked by a little baby crawler.
baby
Oh, that's
crawler.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And then she kicks the fuck. She kicks that
does.
thing
She
to fucking
stomps
death.
him on the head.
And then Mama
Oh, yeah,
Crawler
Mama
not happy.
Crawler.
Oh, yeah.
Mama Crawler not happy.
Honestly,
But
Mama
she's
Crawler got
in
that
kill
body
mode,
though.
and she's just killed her best friend and realized that her husband was cheating on her. So all of these things she
Yeah.
thought were not real. So she's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to kill all these crawlers," and it's awesome. And this is where you start to. See
I don't
her
think you see her
transformation.
go transform until she's out of what's about to happen.
But
I
that-
think this is the beginning of it.
That scene is fantastic though, where she fights Mama Crawler.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Because
Yeah.
when she gets out of that, so they
She's-
fall into like a blood
A
pool.
blood
Blood
lake.
pit.
Yeah. I don't think you know what a lake is. Lakes are huge.
A blood puddle.
Yeah, blood puddle.
Yeah.
Great band name.
Yeah. They fall in this blood puddle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as she's crawling out, Mother attacks her.
Yes.
And they're fighting over this rock on the way out, and then she stabs her with like a bone. It looked
Yeah,
like.
it's like some kind of horn or something.
Yeah, an antler.
It wasn't
Yeah,
an
an
antler?
antler.
Okay.
Mhm.
That,
She
that
Kiefer
makes sense.
Sutherland's him to the eye.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mama never saw it coming.
Not only is she blind already,
But now she only
Yeah.
got one eye.
Well, yeah, but now she did.
Yeah, that's true. And this part is cool because Sarah just freezes on a rock as Daddy
Because-
Crawler.
Yeah, well, or a male crawler. We don't know if it's but you're
stands-
right.
Yeah, I imagine the familial bonds
Sure,
are
sure,
not
sure.
very firm.
Yeah. This evolutionary tree is not forking. Is all
Oh
we're saying.
no,
yeah.
no. I think that's what happened.
Yeah. So this is like when the male crawler comes up.
Yeah,
and
she's
she
frozen on the
freezes.
rock,
Yeah.
covered with this blood, and it's a lot like Carrie. She's been baptized in blood when she comes out of it.
Yeah,
Because she's
totally.
underneath the blood lake, and then you see a bubble, and then you see her just raise up covered. And I do think this is when the fundamental change happens in her.
Yes, I
The
agree.
symbolism is strong.
It is.
Does
and
she kill
love
that
it.
male crawler?
She does kill the
Yeah,
male
okay.
crawler because he stands on her head and she doesn't panic. She just freezes with the torch right next to her. And then he walks away and I think hears
She
her.
grabs a bone.
Yeah. And beats the shit out of him.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. And you see it go through
Smashes
his head.
him in the
This is
head.
one thing I want to mention though,
Gross.
is that like there's a surprising amount of gore in this movie, but you don't notice it. I
Right.
mean, like you do in the moment, but
I noticed
I don't
it.
know.
I
Like, I
noticed
think
it.
it's
I mean, when everybody's covered in blood, I guess
Yeah.
you're not noticing it that much. But
I noticed it.
It's because I think for me at least, when you're in a cave like this, it's so uncomfortable the whole time that the blood doesn't stand out because I'm still kind of afraid of spiders and just the dirt and the grossness of it, you know? Like I was grossed out when they crawled through that puddle in the very beginning of the cave.
I
you
love
know?
that part.
Oh, because everybody's shirt got wet?
You said it. Your words. But yeah, so she kills Daddy Crawler.
Daddy Crawler.
And then you see her holding the torch in one hand, and I think the pickaxe in the other.
Yeah.
And it just sort of freezes on
and
her,
she
and it
just-
looks badass.
and she primal screams.
It is like Tomb Raider. Yeah, and she does primal scream
It's
there.
awesome.
And that's when the
And they
sisters
hear.
and Juno hear her.
And they think that she probably died, which is...
I don't think they did because they talked to Juno later, and Juno's like, "We're not leaving without Sarah." Remember,
Yeah,
Juno
maybe.
was like,
oh, that's right. Yes.
"Juno's not a complete bad person."
She's not. She
Yeah.
is a well-rounded person, and I think she
made some bad choices.
She made some bad
sure.
choices. She's got some character flaws, but I
Yeah.
don't think she has evil intent in anything she does.
No, I just think she coveted her neighbor's husband.
and led them down a cave to all of their deaths.
Well, yeah, but that's just because she makes bad choices.
Hubris.
Yeah, which is
next?
also the bone in the leg, right?
Okay, so then we see the three girls back together and they see lots of crawlers, so they start running, and that's when they get to the cliff. And it took me a minute to figure out what was going on because little sister starts badassing it across, hanging.
Sort of like they were before.
Yeah,
when older
but-
sister
with no rope.
free
she
climbed,
doesn't
yeah.
have enough rope to get
No, she's
back.
got a rope.
No, she's got like a harness rope. She has
She doesn't
okay,
have
okay.
enough rope to get
It
back
seemed like she just climbed out there and hung because
She
she thought
did.
she might be safe.
because it's a trap. I think she's trying to lure the crawler away.
I don't think that.
I think that was the plan.
You think she's sacrificing herself?
I think she is. And I think that's why she puts the knife in her mouth and waits for the crawler to come on top of her and then stabs him. That's what I think. I don't know.
If that was her plan, she's really, 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 really,
Kind-hearted
really
and
fucking
protective of her
stupid.
sister?
No, that's a
See,
really, really
I thought
dumb
it was all
plan.
panic. I thought
Yeah,
it was
me
all
too.
panic.
It might have been.
I thought it was 1,000% panic. She climbs out there freaking out,
Yeah.
and then she pulls the knife out, which is a smart move, but doesn't use it.
Yeah,
she
and
puts
then-
it in her mouth, and then it's only when she gets her throat
Throat
slit
slashed,
slit.
yeah.
Yeah.
that she does grab onto the creeper and
stab
him in
him.
the ribs or
In
something
the
like
ribs,
that.
yeah.
And
And-
then he falls down to the water that's
Yeah.
below,
And
she
this-
just like flops over backwards and
She
gets
does,
blood
facing her sister, spewing her neck blood out.
Yeah.
It makes me sad.
because she's a thoughtful,
protective sister.
protective
Hey,
sister.
But then Crawler comes out from behind.
I
Grabs
know,
sister
grabs
foot.
Grabs big
sister,
sister.
and just eats
Oh,
her
God.
stomach.
Yeah.
Does what they did to Spike, only Big Sister is still alive,
Yeah.
and that's awful.
And then-
Oh yeah.
Juno
Juno
jumps
just
off the
jumps,
cliff into the water.
Because Juno ain't no dummy.
Yeah.
But now the only two people who are left alive are Juno and Sarah.
Yeah, and so she jumps into the river and then sees underwater
river?
crawler.
And this is where she sees the dead
Underwater
creepy
crawler. Mm-hmm.
guys. But no, he's not dead and starts attacking him.
And she grabs the knife and twists it.
And then he does die.
Yeah. And then she starts climbing up the banks, and Sarah grabs her and pulls her up. And
Yes.
Sarah's all covered with blood, and she's like, what the fuck
Yeah,
happened
Sarah
to you?
looks insane.
Yeah, and then
in like
Juno-
a badass way. Not like
She-
insane in the
And
membrane.
Juno even says, "What happened to you?"
Right.
Like she can tell there is an obvious.
And that's, I think, what you're talking about with the paths crossing,
Yeah.
too. I think Sarah really kind of succumbs to this. Not succumbs, but she really kind of gives herself over to this badass persona that Juno has had all along.
Right, and then Sarah asks about, well, what happened to Beth, knowing full well what happened to Beth.
Oh, yeah,
right. And
well-
just to see what she said.
And
Yeah.
Juno does lie about it.
She does.
And you see her, you
and
see
she
her kind of
says,
weep.
You saw her die? And she says,
I don't know, man. Like if I had stabbed someone through the throat, that would be traumatic for me. Seeing
I
my
know.
friend that I stabbed through the throat. I think maybe she did think she died.
I think she did too.
Anyway.
And honestly, I might have left her too.
I would have. You're under attack from creepy crawlies.
Exactly.
If someone got
I
the
will say-
sniffles, I'd be like, no, you dead. I'm gotta go.
She's not going to make much noise.
No.
Oh.
Them vocal cords.
And then I think if you look at Sarah, you see her make a decision about what she's going to do next.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly thought she
Definitely.
might kill her right there.
Right. Because then she leads them over, and this part is awesome when they go into kind of like a little passageway and they see all these crawlers come up, and then they just Rambo the shit out of these
I
crawlers.
thought this was cool as shit.
Oh, yeah,
there's
it was
It's
awesome.
the two of them, and the shot is really cool. So when Juno lights her flare and like points it towards the camera, and then the focus shifts and you can see everybody, it's a cool ass shot.
It
and
is.
then it's just the two of them, and I think there's like 5 crawlers, maybe 6.
But just waiting.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and they don't even try and like run. They're like, let's fucking do this.
Yes.
And they do. But if you look, Juno gets like teamed up on, and Sarah's like, you on your own,
You know,
bitch.
way back because she
Yeah.
knows the other crawlers are coming. I think part of that is battle strategy, and part of it's like, I'm not going to jump in on this.
Yeah.
Because I do think she's also kind of thinking, Juno is my decoy right now, so let's see how this plays out.
Yeah. Well, but,
we don't
but she
see
also
them-
does have her own crawlies to deal with.
She does, but
Yeah.
we don't see that fight really interact that much. They're not like Mr. and Mrs. Smith like backing each other up.
No, not
you
at
know?
all.
And then you see the thumbs.
Oh yeah, when she sticks the thumb, dude.
Is that Sarah who does that?
Yeah.
That's Sarah.
Okay, yeah,
this
it's a
is
real gross.
badass. And this is what I say when I'm talking about when I say representation matters, because when you see somebody who looks like you do all this shit and they're not making a big deal about it, like we're women and we can do it. It's just awesome.
No, you were the one yelling that during the movie.
I was. And I know. I was like, woo! Yeah, because it's
It's like,
just
Jen,
really
we get
cool.
it. Sit down.
Yeah.
It's honestly, but it is.
We get it. We see it every day.
It's refreshing though because none of them are portrayed as remotely helpless.
Exactly.
None of-
There's
at
never
any
like they
point.
don't
I
have
mean-
that little meeting where they're like, we can do it, but I'm scared, you know?
No, even Spike, when she broke her leg, was like,
Right.
just stitch me up and I'll hobble out of here. Let's do this.
This is just always part of their personality,
Yeah.
and this is just what they do because that's what men do. They just handle whatever is in their way.
Yeah, we get shit done, Jen.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they kill all of the creepy crawlies,
crawlies
in that batch
that
of
they
creepy crawlies,
see.
right?
Yes.
So, well, I don't
kill
think
the
other
first
ones are,
wave.
Right, the first wave. That's a good way of saying it because there are more coming, but it's just Sarah and Juno, and Sarah's got her like axe up. Like, I think it's because she just killed one of them, but
yeah. And they're looking at each other, and then she just opens her hand and,
and
lets
drops
the
out
feather
the feather,
drop.
the eagle feather.
Yeah, and I don't
and
know if
you
they
hear it go. In the background.
yeah.
Anyway, so the feather comes out, and we see that sort of on their faces that Juno knows that Sarah knows.
Yeah.
And Sarah knows that Juno knows that she knows.
And
so
now we
Sarah
both
knows
know
that Juno
we know
knows
that
Sarah
Juno
knows that
knows.
Juno knows.
Yeah. But
So
they
Sa-
don't know we know they know we know they know we
exactly.
know.
So Juno doesn't know that Sarah knows what Juno knows.
Yeah.
That
And
Sarah's
that's-
going to kill Juno.
And that's
when
a
the
big no-no.
nice.
So that's when Sarah
That's when
doesn't kill Juno.
the feather
but
drops.
Significant.
The feather heard around the world
Yes.
drops.
And then Sarah
Axes
just
Juno
slices
through
her
the
leg.
knee.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
And-
rough to watch too. It was pretty gross.
It is, yeah. But Juno's just still kind of a badass.
Oh, Juno's like, I'm gonna go out fighting, and
Yeah,
she does.
and
We
she
don't ever see her
rips
die.
the
Actually,
axe out of her knee,
Yeah.
and just kind of hobbles around to like get ready for him. And that's when we hear and see like 10, 20,
it's a
lots
lot.
of creepy crawlies.
Yeah, it's
coming
at
to
least
her.
like 12.
Yeah.
But you never see
You never see her die.
You don't
You're
see
right.
her die.
We hear her yelling, but honestly, it could be either she's dying or killing them.
battle size.
And I definitely could see her in a sequel. I wouldn't be surprised if she's
Am
in
I the only
Descent
one
too.
who's seen the sequel?
Yeah, I haven't seen the sequel.
Okay.
So then Sarah falls over. She gets the vapors, and she wakes up and she realizes there's sunlight on her face and she can see. And this part is so cool. She climbs up this giant mountain of bones, and we can see the light, literally the light at the end of the tunnel as she crawls across all of
Right.
the bones.
Crawling out of death, out of
Yes,
darkness.
crawling over all of this tragedy and
Right.
through all of this terrible stuff. And then she busts through, and we see that awesome shot where her hands bust through, and then her face, and she takes a deep breath for the first time.
Very Deliverance, by the way.
Oh yeah, very.
This sort of looked like a birth scene to me.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think it
100%.
is. Well, and it's like the baptism scene, and this is her rebirth out into
Sure,
the world.
yeah, absolutely.
So she's sobbing through the woods.
She's 127 hours out of the woods.
Yeah, she is.
Makes it back to the car.
She realizes she forgot her keys. She got to go back into the thing, the cave. Yeah, and that's the sequel.
She's trying to
Wanders
find the car
around looking
keys.
for her car. Yeah,
Yeah.
the sequel, the working title is "Bitch, Where's My Car?"
Juno, what was his face? 3C.
But no, she drives off in the Bronco,
She's
right?
got a fish that dies on the way. That's a Seinfeld joke.
But
everyone.
you said, okay, so at this point where she's driving the Bronco down the
I think it's a
road,
Jeep.
she pulls off and this truck goes by, and then
Uh-huh.
I was convinced that there was going to be a jump scare and then end.
a creepy crawly in the
Right.
back seat is what you thought. She pulls over to sob for a little
Throws
bit.
up, right? Or something?
Throws up
Oh,
out the window.
yeah.
I think the truck scares her, which honestly, I'd be afraid of trucks if I were her too. And then she turns back and there's dead Juno in the car right next to her.
Right, and then you said something like that was the end for the American
That's
release.
the end of the American version.
Okay.
Yes, that's how the American version ends. And then, so what we see, because Todd looked over and said, I thought the movie was over. Because we see her
Right.
wake up in the cave and she doesn't have sunlight on her face. She's still got blood all over. And she wakes up and
I think this is when we see the birthday
we see
cake
the birthday
scene.
cake. And we actually see her daughter sitting there.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we've actually
No,
seen
we've
her
seen
full
her a
daughter.
bunch. We've seen
Okay.
her daughter a bunch.
So her daughter is sitting across from the birthday cake, and so Sarah's just sitting there looking at her daughter, and it's like they're having a little birthday.
I thought this was really cool because the light from her torch is the birthday cake.
It's the birthday candles, because then we
Right.
come back and we see her just looking at nothing,
They do that slow zoom where
Yeah.
it's just her.
and we hear the creepy
hear
crawlies
the-
coming. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the end of
and
the
that's
UK
the end of the movie.
version.
So everyone dies in this version.
Yeah, I don't like the UK version.
No,
as
it's
much. I
fucking
pretend.
stupid.
No one dies.
What? No one dies?
You don't see Juno and you don't see Sarah.
Oh, you just
die.
imagine that they
Right.
do. Yeah. But I don't think the sequel could exist with Sarah staying in the cave. I don't think the sequel could happen with the UK ending.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the sequel is based on the American ending.
Yeah,
Probably.
That
most
when she got out.
definitely.
Yeah,
But
I
that
don't,
is the movie.
I don't like the UK ending as much. And the reason that they cut it off there is because they thought it was too nihilistic or too sad for American
But
audiences.
they do that all the time.
I
and it's
know.
so, I like that nihilistic ending. I like that.
I like it too, but I like the hopeful one better. You know,
I
and
don't
it's
like- I
still
don't
a
like
sad
hopeful.
ending because she's still got, like you said, this is now the worst thing that's happened to her.
Yeah.
The trauma that she had before was
Yeah.
awful, and now she's got this on top of
She
that.
was already going to need years of therapy.
Exactly. And that's what I think is cool when she's walking through the wilderness, because we've just seen her become total badass.
Yeah.
And then she's falling apart to the car, because that's what would happen. You can't live in that Rambo stage all the time, you know? You got to get your adrenaline up and you got to get through stuff, but then you have to come back and be a person and deal with all of it.
Right.
You know, and I love the American ending because you see her have those emotions and that reaction to it.
But that's the end of the movie. Let's talk box office.
Box office.
Yeah. So what do you guys think this cost to make?
I think I know this because I think I sneaky.
Oh, do
snapped
you?
it. Yeah.
What
I'm gonna
what
guess-
would be your guess, Chris?
Okay, so I'm thinking that
It's pretty much a single location movie. We know you guys hate single location movies.
I love single location movies
I
when
know.
they're
I'm
caves.
just making the joke.
no,
I
I
know.
love it when you can pull off stuff like this in a set.
Yeah.
That's true.
It honestly was impressive. So the production budget that they say is $7 million. That's not cheap, but it's pretty cheap
Yeah.
for a movie, like a movie that looks this good. And it did pretty well,
Made about
domestic and international.
50 million? Is that right?
57 million.
57
And
million.
then in domestic DVD sales, it made another 22 million.
Yeah, and
so
this
it
one,
made a lot of money.
yeah, and this is a beloved one. I think a lot of people that love horror have this up there in their list.
For sure.
It's in my
Definitely.
top 5.
It did very well. I
Yeah.
hated it, but I understand why people might like it.
Now, interesting fact, it did not do that well in the UK when it came out in 2005 because it came out right around the time of the London bombings. And I don't know very much about the London bombings, but I know that a lot of the marketing showed women trapped underground or someone screaming and
yeah.
using the word terror in it. So
Yeah, I
I
can
think
see
they
that.
had to really change up the marketing, and it kind of dampened it. It's like Idle Hands when Idle Hands came out right after Columbine.
Can we do
Okay.
Jen's
Yeah,
fun
we're
facts?
doing Gen fun facts. Okay, one thing I think is really cool. The lighting, once they go in the cave, all of the lighting they have is the lighting that the women have with them, like their flares and their flashlights and their headlamps. They don't use any camera lighting. But it is like, this movie is so claustrophobic, and I think that's part of why you just can't get a sense of where the cave is going and what it looks like.
Right.
The influences for this movie were, we already said Deliverance, The Thing, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre were big influences for this.
Right.
They really delivered that influence.
And I think the blood, maybe referencing some Argento.
Oh yeah, possibly Argento. I definitely think there's a Carrie nod in there.
I've only seen one Argento film, and it was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. So I hope
Todd loved Suspiria.
Suspiria
guys.
was the worst movie I've ever seen. Like
In your entire life?
Not even like horror. I'm talking about any movie, including the shitty no budget movies I was in. It is worse than those.
I don't know if I'll give you
No,
that.
it's real
Todd's
bad.
got some strong feelings about
I cussed out
Suspiria.
Jen
Worse
through
than
text for
Die
a
Hard
week.
with a sponsor?
Yeah, much worse than that.
Worse than
Watch
Franklin's
Suspiria
Sweetheart?
and try not to eyeball gouge your eyes until the pus comes out.
Try not to Sarah your face.
Yeah, exactly. It's so bad. Whatever. What are the fun facts you got, Jen?
Some more fun facts. So none of these are real caves. We've already talked about this a little bit. They built 21 cave sets, and I think they look
21.
really cool.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's
They
a
did-
lot.
They did. Yeah. They look really great. Like I never see these caves and think that's not a real cave.
Me either.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Had I not read that, or I would have completely. Well, up until
Right.
recently, I thought that this was definitely filmed.
Yeah,
in a
that's
cave.
a real cave. Yeah, I saw a featurette a long time ago about this, and I kind of saw them like all standing around the caves. I think it's the part where Sarah gets stuck, and the cameraman is just standing on the end of it, and it's really cool. Oh, all the crawler actors had to shave all of their body hair, and they had to be in the makeup chair for 3.5 hours.
Ugh.
And they hired actual actors. They didn't hire any stunt doubles for it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, you guys are gonna like this. The nightstick or the light sticks that they use, the flares, they bought those in an adult film store. So I think they are some kind of sex play props.
Wait. The flares or like the light sticks?
The light
like the neon
sticks
light
that they
sticks?
Big
use.
green light
Yeah.
sticks.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That is a fun fact. A little too fun.
If you know what I mean.
Blanky blanky.
I got a crawler body count for us too.
Oh, yeah?
9, including the kid crawler.
Kids are people, Jen.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 9 crawlers.
Are those all your fun facts?
Those are all my fun
I saw
facts.
you close your book that you're almost to the end of.
I know, and part of it came apart.
It's because you use it too much.
Speaking of, we are running out of room on my scary scale. It
Yeah.
might be time for a new book. All right, I'm
You know where you can buy a new book, Jen? If you go to the website, horrorvirgin.com, and click on the store link, you can buy some awesome merch. Some of them are no books. Check them out.
Hey, and then go over to the blog because it's awesome. If you want to hear me talk more about Stephen King and more about feminism, go to that blog.
Yeah. All right, so let's scary scale this. What is the scary scale, Jen?
The scary scale is a scale we use to rank how scared we were when we watched these movies today. It's not a ranking of how good we thought the movie was. It is a ranking of how scared we were, not the first time we watched it, but when we're watching it today. Our example of a 1 movie is Ghostbusters, and our example of a 10 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yay! I don't know why I celebrated the end of that, but I just love the scary scale, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
Todd, what you got?
7.
7.
I'd give it a 7. It was pretty scary. There were a few jump scares that really got me, and it was just an overall general creepiness. But I've seen scarier movies for sure.
Yeah, it's the claustrophobic thing
Oh,
for me.
man.
I
It
think.
was, yeah.
Chris?
So I've seen this movie close, if not over 10 times. So as of today, I would give it a 5. But with that said, it's still it's like my second favorite horror movie, probably top 5 all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
So-
Wow. Okay.
And this was on my scariest horror movie for a while. I
Yeah.
had this
Yeah,
up at the
definitely.
top. Yeah. And I saw it in the theater too. Like it is, I think it's got jump scares, but it's got consistent grossness. I think it
does
is very
have that
scary.
for sure.
In the
Yeah.
theater, if you're like in the front 3 rows, because I saw it in the theater as well, like row 3, I mean,
Yeah. You're getting blood
I
on
didn't
you.
sleep that night
Yeah.
at all. Lights on.
I remember being very affected, and I think there's enough of an emotional attachment to these characters too that makes the scares more powerful because you do care more about what happens to them.
Absolutely.
And they get fucked up,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
There are some really hard deaths in this movie. I think I'm gonna give it a 7 too. Part of what gets me is that revulsion factor. I just feel so uncomfortable because caves are terrifying in general. So the second they go down into that cave, I'm already at like a baseline 3, even though nothing has happened because there are spiders there. I don't know what's behind that cave. You know, it's just gross. So it gets me on that level. And then I think it is consistently scary once the crawlers show up. Yeah, 7. That's our scary scale.
Cool.
A muggity mug. It's mug time, everybody.
So, guys, if you leave us a text review for the podcast, give us 5 stars, leave us a text review. It captures your name. We put your name in a mug. We draw your name out the mug.
And then you get that
a mug. Yeah.
And thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for all the awesome reviews.
Honestly, we've added a lot of listeners recently. And
We
that's
have.
really, really awesome.
Yeah, we love you guys.
The Jen is going to pull a
The
name out of the
Jen.
mug, and this person's going to get a mug. What's the name, Jen?
MNJF20 23.
Nice. MNJF23.
Manajifa 23.
That sounds legit. You have 30 days from this airing to claim your mug.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Your name will expire. Hey, congratulations, Manajifa 23. I've only ever read that name, so I hope I'm saying it the right way. Yeah. Thank you for your kind review. And if you did not win the mug, do we already say this? We're going to leave your name in the mug?
Yes.
So you could win the next mug.
You can still win a mug. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we doing next week, Jen?
So the next movie we're going to kick off December with Jack Frost, not the Michael Keaton movie where he learns how to love his child.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. Well, that's where Michael Keaton is like a horrible musician father and then dies. His keyboard player starts banging his ex-wife, so he has to come in and be a dad to his son. Yeah.
Oh, he has to learn how to be a dad.
Eric Clapton. Huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is not the Michael Keaton one. This is the one where the snowman Jack Frost kills people with his carrot nose, I think.
Right.
I don't know. Although both sound like entertaining movies.
Sure.
We'll see. So we're doing Jack Frost.
Chris, do you want to let them know where they can find you online?
Yeah, sure. You can find me online at Chris James GTR on the Instagrams, on the Twitters, and whatnots.
Facebooks?
I don't Facebook.
No, because I Facebooked face in the face. I don't know. I'm tired.
That is Jen Ferratu on Instagram and Twitter.
If you want more humor like that, check out.
I am at Todd J. Awesome on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We are, of course, at Horror Virgin. If you want to find us on any of those three platforms, please do.
Check out the
follow us.
website. It's great.
Yeah, check out the website at horrorvirgin.com.
It's a beautiful website.
Yeah, Chris built it.
Guys, also, we're a member of the Modern Horrors Podcast Network. They've got a lot of great podcasts. Check them out.
Final Girls, Death, Dying, and Other Things. And, of course, Luke and Jacob on the Modern Horrors Podcast.
And if you're listening to us in that feed, make sure you click on the link to subscribe to our feed so you get ours on Monday when they come out and not Wednesday when they come out in that feed. You can get it 2 days earlier out of our feed. So come over and listen to it on our feed.
And I also want to say, if you have seen this movie and you want to tweet us what you would put it on the scary scale,
people started staring us.
We had our very first listener submission to the scary scale. Eva V. It is Eva V, right?
I think so, yeah.
Eva V. She scary scale Grave Encounters and rated it significantly lower than we did.
I felt very shamed when she rated it.
She tried to get a negative onto the scale. I would not allow it.
I think
but
she
I did give her a 0.
Too, yeah,
she did. I gave her a 0 because she was our very first listener scary scale.
So Chris, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
we appreciate you coming on and guesting again.
It's always a pleasure to guest on you.
Gross.
Just guessed it all over the place.
But that's going to be it for us here at the Horror Virgin.
Yeah. I'm Jen.
I'm Todd. Have a good week, guys. Bye.